guidelines for Shenzhen New Area has put forward the idea that we can build a Hebei free trade zone with the center of Shenzhen New Area. We have an office at MOFCOM that facilitates this work. We'll coordinate different departments in Hebei to study the overall plan or the master plan for building the free trade zone. We will put at the center of Shenzhen New Area the further development of reform and opening up, and focus on high-quality development. And key areas, we are going to do pilot programs in key areas to aim for breakthroughs, so as to strive to form valuable experiences that can be promoted nationwide. And we will strive to build the Shenzhen New Area into a pilot in the new era for reform and opening up. Thank you. We can continue to take questions now. I'm from CCTV. The U.S. government is now exploring the possibility to launch a new round of investment limitations from China. What is your comment on that? And are there any countermeasures? What is your comment? Thank you for your question. We have noticed the rhetoric on the U.S. part, and here we would like to stress that China is firmly against all kinds of unilateralism and protectionism. For many years, Chinese enterprises have invested in the U.S., and these investments have promoted the U.S. employment, and they have also promoted economic growth in the U.S. We have also noticed that because of the uncertainties of the investment environment, some companies have slowed their investment processes in the United States, and some have even given up the U.S. market, withdrawing from the U.S. market. So we really hope that the U.S. can do more, can take more measures in line with the trend of economic development, both in the U.S. and in the world, so as to facilitate its own development and foster a good, sustainable future for global economy. As to the rhetorics on the U.S. side, China will listen to it and pay close attention to it. We have followed this bottom-line thinking and have prepared in all respects for possible consequences. Thank you. Economic Daily. The EU now has the intention to be on the same side with China to maintain its own interests. What is your comment? As to the measures taken by the U.S. side on the import of steel and aluminum, on the 23rd of March, China, under WTO frameworks, have given a proposal for negotiation to the U.S. And in April, we have also brought this measure of the U.S. to the WTO dispute settlement mechanism. And on April the 16th, the European Union has also proposed a negotiation with the U.S. regarding the U.S. measures. And although the U.S. has identified this measure against the import of steel and aluminum as a national security strategy, but actually it is a measure of protectionism. And that is the view shared between the U.S. and China. India, Turkey, and Russia have also proposed similarly, in a similar way, negotiations. And on April the 19th, the EU has put forward another proposal demanding to join the negotiation as a third party, aside from China. And Hong Kong, Thailand, Russia, and India have by far also proposed this proposal for negotiation, to join the negotiation. The U.S. has said that this is out of consideration of national security, but it has put forward this limitation unilaterally on steel and aluminum. This is an abuse of national security, and it is against the practice and convention of the WTO, and it has a detrimental effect to multilateral trading systems, detrimental to the interests, the rightful interests of China and other members, and are therefore met with resistance from China and other members. China will continue to work with other WTO members in maintaining the international multilateral trade system and its own legitimate rights. Thank you. Thank you. From Phoenix TV, we have also paid attention to the dispute mechanism under WTO, and there is a meeting that is going to be held. What is the Chinese expectation? And recently, what is the atmosphere? What is the chemistry there? Thank you. Just as you said, on April the 27th, the WTO dispute settlement mechanism will hold a meeting, a regular meeting, and at this meeting, topics related to China are, for example, first, China will post comments on 301 investigation of the U.S., and then the selection of the members of this proposal. On April the 4th, China has brought the U.S. measures to the WTO, and we will follow the rules and principles of WTO dispute mechanism to push forward with the case. I here would like to stress that the wrong conduct of the U.S., if left without, if we leave it there, then that will harm the authority of the multilateral trade system. We urge the United States to take relevant measures and abandon unilateral practices and trade protectionism, respect WTO rules, and conduct consultation and negotiations on equal footing to solve disputes, to promote a healthy development of bilateral trading relations. As to the selection of the members, on this meeting, China will work with other members, 64 members, to continue to demand an instant launch of the selection procedures of members and continue to fill in the gap. Since last year, some members have deliberately hampered the process of selection, and that has resulted in a mere 4 members that we now have. If this issue remains unsolved, that will certainly have a negative impact on the functioning of the WTO dispute mechanism, settlement mechanism, to the detriment of the multilateral trade system and the WTO system as a whole. So China urges these members to stop their wrongful practices and take their responsibility, international responsibility, under the WTO framework, working collaboratively with other members in upholding the multilateral trade system. Thank you. From ZTE, from Zhongxing Agency. We noticed that there will be a meeting between China and the U.S. This informal meeting, what will be its impact on the economic relations between the two countries? Thank you for your question. President Xi and Modi from India will hold an informal meeting in Wuhan, China, and will talk about the overall sustainable future and strategic development of China-India bilateral relations, and will also talk about major trends of the world today. China and India are both developing countries and are also emerging economies. Both of these countries have a big domestic market, and they feature strong complementarity in their economic development and have future high potential for cooperation. And in the recent years, with the priority given by both leaders, we have seen a fast development of our economic relations. And last year, the bilateral trade volume has reached $84.4 billion, up by 23.3% year-on-year. In the first quarter, our bilateral trade volume has reached $22.13. And by far, the aggregate investment of China in India has exceeded $8 billion. India has become an important destination for infrastructure and investment for Chinese businesses. We will very carefully implement the important outcomes between the meeting of the two leaders this time, and will continue to strengthen practical cooperation between the two countries and make the cake or the pie bigger in economic development between the two countries, so as to deliver more complementarity between our two markets and release more momentum for development, opening up a new chapter for mutually beneficial partnership. From Shanghai Zhengquan newspaper, we have learned about some political signals of the guidelines for regulation of consumers and consumer products, and the possible reduction of tariff in trade, especially with a focus on the import of high technologies and parts. And also, with this aim, the free trade zones it is possible for the free trade zones to expand. And what kind of significance does that have for China's opening up in future? Thank you for your question. At Boao Forum, President Xi has declared the determination of China for further opening up and has proposed 4 major measures. One is to expand imports. At the present, MOFCOM is collaborating with other departments to study the policies for further expanding investments. We will further reduce the overall tariff on imported goods and reduce the tariff on automobiles and some other consumer products. Strive to focus on the facilitate the import of products that are demanded by the general public in China on a large volume, at a large scale. And another thing is to make great efforts to build the first international import exhibition in China, to continue to satisfy the growing need for imported goods of the general public in China, and that will help also for us to balance the trade, international trade, and it is an initiative. It is an active way for China to continue to open up and to expand imports. So this marks China's important step in further opening up at a higher level and will be contributing to China's new chapter of opening up. From China Daily, we have heard the structure of the structure change of the China's international import exhibition. What is the preparation now? How is the preparation going? Thank you for your question. Under the support and guidance of President Xi Jinping, currently China's international import exhibition has been progressed very smoothly with initial achievements. And in terms of the countries participating, 61 countries have affirmed their attendance. And in terms of businesses, by April the 24th, 1,022 businesses have signed in to participate in the exhibition. The exhibition area is about 175,000 square meters, and we have about 100 leading enterprises and Fortune 500 companies from US, from France, UK, Japan, and other developed countries. They have accounted for 34% of the number of businesses, and then we have another 34% coming from Belt and Road countries. We have 10% of businesses coming from the least developed countries. In terms of the structure of businesses, the organizing committee have proposed a list for 40,000 key businesses for procurement, and we have formed a central procurement group. We are also now studying in inviting foreign or overseas procurement companies, and there will be about 150,000 participants in this respect. In terms of the organization of the forum, we have built the plan for Hongqiao International Forum and have formed the strategy of the initial strategy for this forum. And at the time of the forum, representatives of governments, head of governments, representatives of businesses, and renowned scholars at both home and abroad will participate in the forum. MOFCOM is now working with the Shanghai municipal government to study the security plan for the forum. Shanghai, as the place for the meeting, has built the leading group for security measures, and with 17 subgroups with all kinds of security measures in place. First is we will put forward with the preparation for major projects, including the renovation of major venues. A second is to coordinate the convenience for personnel to pass the borders. And third is to provide good services and hospitality for the participants. We have done initial research of the surrounding hotels. About 2,600 hotels are available. About a total of 240,000 beds are available. We have, as the fourth measure, we have designed the measure for transport, and especially in contingency plans for instantly increased volume of transport in a short time by expanding the capacity of transport. The fifth is to provide security measures regarding food and energies. Overall, all in all, the Shanghai municipal government will spend a lot of efforts in providing a very full preparation for this forum. Because of time limitation, we can allow for only one question now. Thank you. We have noticed that the EU has said that it will postpone the tariff for anti-dumping from China. What is your comment? We have noticed that on April the 19th, the European Commission has unleashed the announcement anti-dumping measures that have against China's steel products, which has been started in 1999. So this measure has been proposed for 5 years. This is the fourth time for this tariff or this measure to be postponed. China has maintained a view that we need to have fair measures for relevant products in China. China's products to the U.S. in this respect have been hampered very adversely because this policy has been in place for a total of 19 years. According to our research, there is only 2,005 tons of Chinese exports to the U.S., only accounting for 1.2% of the products needed by the EU. This very small volume has no risks on adversely impacting the domestic industries of the EU. So there is no sound basis for continuing with these measures. China and the EU are both staunch supporters of free trade and are against trade protectionism. With the development of globalization, the global industry chain has become even more segmented with ever closer partnership between different regions and countries. The problems encountered by certain businesses need to be solved jointly by different countries around the world. We hope that the EU can adopt a positive attitude to talk with China, to negotiate with China, especially in promoting the exchanges and cooperation between industries, so as to promote sustainable development in future. That is the end of today's press release. Thank you.